Got Your Back Pod Stream is brought to you by Mr. Dirk. From casual wear to suits and formals, Mr. Dirk helps you find the perfect fit with the right look for any occasion. Step up your wardrobe at MrDirk.com.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. You can't trust a forward. Listen to my words tonight. Don't just fall in love with my face. I used to be somewhat of a big deal, wheeling and dealing, no bucket in the warm-up, people carrying my bags in. How many times do I have to tell you through text, let's talk about the PK? That is a dirty hit that needs a response. I like a stiff, stout pillow. We'd rather dress nobody than dress you.
The only thing I like better than easy points are free Slurpees.
Goalies embellish all the time. He tumbled over like he was hit by a Zamboni. Am I this good, or are we just winning by 7 goals, and that's why I'm out here? Just say, I know you're right, Struddy. Just get it out. I think I am the modern-day Ronnie Dangerfield.
Yeah, get no respect.
And now, Weiss Johnson presents Struddy's World. Here's your host, the uncredited inventor of load management, Jason Strudwick.
What's going on today? How's everybody doing? We've made it. Game 82 tonight in San Jose, and the playoffs will start this weekend. Love to join us today. We'll get to a lot of Oilers chatter. Our program is brought to you by our good friends at Weiss Johnson Heating and Air Conditioning. Beat the rush on getting a new air conditioner for this summer. The team over at Weiss Johnson are already busy with requests for air conditioning, so don't wait. Specializing in servicing your existing mechanical systems or installing new ones, Weiss Johnson is here for all your home comfort needs. Visit weissjohnson.com today. Jingle.
Weiss Johnson, whoa.
As you can tell, if you're watching, I'm wearing my favorite mauve sweater here in my very fancy Adrenaline Diesel studio. Adrenaline Diesel is a Caterpillar recognized and authorized dealer and repair facility. For expert service for your Cat engine, visit adrenalinediesel.ca. Now I'll take some heat for this sweater, Zoobs, but I don't care. We got Zubie, we got Struddy. How are we making out today, Zoobs?
Doing well. I love that hoodie. I love the white accents. I have my standard blue hoodie that we should have coordinated. I should be wearing the blue hoodie here, but I'll tell you what I feel really good. Hitting the Weiss Johnson jingle out of the gate like that, it just brings the energy up of the whole show.
Makes everyone happy. And we're going to need that, Joy, because we're going to get through a lot of tough chatter today. We've got some massive guests today. We're going to mix it up a bit today. Jamie McLennan will go first from Toronto, talk about the Oilers netminders, the LA netminders, and then a special little topic I have to maybe make some other teams feel bad about themselves. Jack Michaels, live from practice, the morning skate. He'll try to let us know if we can tell, depending on who's skating, who will be playing. And then we'll have Get Off the Fence. I'm fired up, people. This Nurse suspension, I cannot believe he got suspended. And I'll go through and tell you why later, and why Zubie may or may not feel the same way. So Jack live from Oilers practice, talking about this bad suspension to Darnell Nurse, and then our good buddy Noodles. I guess just quickly to start off the show, did you feel it was warranted, the 1-game suspension for Darnell Nurse?
I felt like it was actually the perfect decision because it's just the token. It's the token, discipline. He doesn't miss a playoff game. He might have been resting anyway, probably not just because of the Oilers injury situation, but it's just we did something. So he got a game and a half. I mean, the team had a 5-minute penalty kill, and he missed the second half of that game, and he misses another game. I think it's the right decision, even though I don't think there was much damage done. There was intent on the play, but I don't think there was a lot of damage.
Well, I'll unleash the fury when we get off the fence in about 40 minutes time. So stay tuned for that. But we got a game tonight. Nurse won't be in there, so there's no blood lost here. But Connor McDavid spoke yesterday after practice, and he was setting the tone. Really, really setting the tone here. So let's get into our digital sound box, brought to you by Douglas Mattresses. If you're like me, there's nothing better than a good night's sleep after a long day. Your best sleep is just around the corner. With every mattress, they're including a free sleep bundle that includes 2 memory foam pillows, a complete set of luxury sheets, and more. Visit the Douglas Mattress Store in Manchester Square in Edmonton, or check them out at douglas.ca/GYB. I went to visit, and it is fantastic. Connor McDavid, let's hear about him. Yesterday, he talks about the idea that the team has been hit all at once by injuries.
So everything's kind of hitting us at once, and while that is true, guys are healthier than it may seem. I think we kind of have this like aura about us for the walking wounded, but we're just fine. Everybody's going to be ready to roll. Everybody is doing whatever they can. I don't like this whole notion that we're the walking wounded here. We're ready to roll.
If I'm a teammate, Zubie, I love this. He is setting the tone for his team and the expectations that other teams can have of the Edmonton Oilers. Yeah, it's been tough. The last number of weeks have been brutal. You take a look at their injury list, day to day, week to week, whatever, on and on and on. Suspended tonight for Darnell Nurse. It's not ideal, but they are a good team if and when they are healthy. And he's telling him, or telling us, and telling the Kings that they're way healthier than they show. So I love it. Now, how does he feel? Well, he's got 9 points in the last 3 games he played in. That's pretty damn good, playing with guys that probably aren't your traditional top 6 forwards. Let's hear how he feels about himself health-wise and his game.
I've felt personally night and day better from before the injury, just in terms of rest. Not getting a break there with the Four Nations, which I'm not complaining about at all. So if the league's listening, I'm not complaining about that. It's just, I feel night and day better since the injury. I'm sure Leon's going to feel the same way. Everybody's going to feel the same way coming out of that, and we'll be ready to roll.
When he came back for those last 3 games, Zubie, I thought he skated better than he has in quite a while. He is flying around the ice, making plays. Now, he haven't, on our other podcast, Rob Brown spoke a little bit about maybe his hands aren't quite there. And I could see it. He's moving really quickly. But to me, it's how important his feet are moving. And he is skating so well, challenging D-men, challenging for space with and without the puck. So I honestly think that, weird way is probably the wrong way of wording it. But this is a good thing for Connor and Leon to be fresh and rested heading into game 1.
I thought you touched on it a tiny bit, but in the first clip, he said there was a real key moment in there that kind of flew under the radar. He said, we're healthier than people think. I think that's the real kind of hidden little message in there from Connor. I think we know he's going to be as close to 100% as he could be, and Leon's going to be, but maybe the other guys are closer than we think. The health is going to be, it's very cloak and dagger at this point in time. So hopefully they're keeping a little something, holding their cards close to the vest.
Yeah. And I think that if they can get everyone back, I'm guessing Frederick, maybe game 2, game 3 of the Kings. And obviously I expect Kane to be in the lineup game 1 after listening to him speak the other day.
Yeah.
And now you're getting some veterans back, some bigger bodies, and guys that'll be fresh and excited to prove things. Evander Kane, he's going to want to prove to the world that he's still the player that he believes he is. His confidence is always high. Connor McDavid, he is going to be out there to let people know that, yeah, things haven't gone perfectly for us this year, but we're the team to beat. I think that he's going to want to make a statement early in the series, individually and as a team, to say we're still the team to beat in this group. Because you look at it, you got to beat the Kings. They beat them 3 times in a row already. This can be they're a good team. They're improved. Then you got to get to, I'm guessing it'll be the Golden Knights, and the Golden Knights are good, but the Oilers, I believe, are a team that can beat them as well if healthy. And by then you might have everyone back except for Ekholm. And then you move on to, whoever you get in the Central. And we're getting a little far ahead of ourselves, but yeah. I think it's not too far to look, a round or 2 down the line. So Connor McDavid, the way he was speaking, he talks about, he talked for 7 minutes, and there was no laughing. He is in playoff mode. Now, we don't know if he's playing tonight. Hopefully Jack Michaels, who joins us in about half hour, will let us know. But Zubes, he is dialed in, and the rest of his team is like, okay, it's go time now. Let's get ourselves ready.
I'm not sure I would have believed it if I hadn't seen this 3-game span from him before he sat again. He came back in a completely different place. We did a poll. I was just trying to find it because I keep track of the polls. We did a poll on Got Your Back a while back that was like, what's the key to the Oilers? And maybe this goes without saying, but it was kind of what's the key to the Oilers playoff run this year? And the winner in that poll was they'll go as far as McDavid and Leon carry them. And that's kind of how I'm feeling now. I feel like McDavid's even looking at the overall roster, and there's been a down year, as we've talked about, for a bunch of guys. And I think he knows he's snapped into that mode. I have to take this team. Leon and I have to take this team, and they're going into, like you said, playoff mode early. And there's part of me that my belief has changed. I kind of believe they can do it, even if the supporting pieces aren't playing at the level they were expecting.
You know, I'll challenge that a bit because I think we've seen the last little while Skinner, Brown, Skinner the skater, Brown, Henrique, Podkolzin. Who am I missing? I'm missing a few guys that are feeling the game because they've been playing a lot more, right? And then the great thing about going from regular season to playoffs, it's a new season. So look at Connor Brown. Look at the way that people perceived him heading into the playoffs and how they perceived him at the end of the playoffs. Broberg last year, beginning of the playoffs to the end of the playoffs. Like, you could completely write your own story. Let's say that, Nugent Hopkins gets 9 goals in the first 2 series. Like, and not that he's been awful, but you rewrite your entire season based on that. So I think there'll be a lot of people. And if I'm the messenger in that room, I'm saying, guys, this is a new start. Everyone gets to start new here. And we are better than we've shown consistently over this year. And I believe Connor Leon will be at the forefront of that. But I do think, like, I'm looking at Evander Kane. If he puts up 5-6 goals here, I mean, people are going to be talking about him. They'll be writing songs about him. Trent Frederick, same thing, right? And then Ekholm's the one that it does hurt. I think, we can acknowledge that. So keep your messages coming up on YouTube. We're on X. If you want to send us messages, we love hearing from you on the stream. We'll try to get to those at the end at Ask Struddy. But right now, it's time for Struddy's Buddies. Again, we flip-flop because we're hoping Jack Michaels feedback to us from practice where the players are at and who is or isn't skating down in San Jose. So let's get to Struddy's Buddies, now brought to you by HSC Core Services. If you're a small to medium-sized business, HSC Core has your back when it comes to health and safety compliance. From creating and managing a tailored health and safety program that meets all legislation and core requirements, HSC Core supports clients' operations every step of the way. Visit www.hsccore.com. That's hsccor.com for more info. And there he is, Noodles, looking pretty casual today, eh? You're giving me a little bit of some juice for what I wore on Prime. I was pretty relaxed on Prime. It looked like I was going to play some bugles or something later that night.
You looked very relaxed on Prime. Were you wearing a knitted sweater? What was that? A homemade sweater, or were you wearing a suit? I can't remember. I was so focused on the nuggets that you were handing out. It was awesome. So, I'm fired up for today's show for you because I got to be honest, I loved Connor McDavid's comments yesterday. He stopped short of basically putting everybody on notice, saying, I'm going to be an absolute animal in the playoffs and good luck trying to stop me. Like, I swear to God, I was reading between the lines and he was like, yeah, you guys have been counting us out. People, like, he was like, we're more healthier than you think. I swear to God, he stopped short saying, we'll see. I can't wait to talk to you pigeons when you have your microphones in front of me again in a week and a half. And we'll see who's, comes out on top. Because I think there's a lot of people that are counting Edmonton out. I really do. I think there's a lot of people.
I agree. And you got those guys in there, and that home situation is delicate, but I'm pretty excited for what to watch. We get to watch these two teams go at it. Noodles, does it matter to you what, I'm assuming Skinner plays tonight, but is there any doubt for you in who gets to play game 1 for the Oilers against the Kings?
Not right now. I mean, Skinner needs to find his game. The only thing I would say is maybe the leash is a little bit shorter than it was last year. Because you've seen Calvin Pickard give some pretty good minutes. But I would say it's Skinner's net until he takes himself out of it. And the only problem that I have, and I was just saying, like, LA's no joke. They're a good team. And you can't look, if I'm the Edmonton Oilers, there's zero chance you can look past them. You have to look through them. And you've got to find a way to break their system, to wear them down, to win the physical battles. Like LA's a bigger team now. They went and added guys like Fogle, who were on the team last year in Edmonton, who's a big body who can skate. But what you need to do is have your top players play like top players. The other thing too that LA, to get through is I would argue that Darcy Kemper might be a candidate for the Vezina. So if you look at his goals saved above expectations and stuff, I'm a voter. I'm considering him in the 3 spot, maybe 3-4 spot. But that being said, I look at this Edmonton team, and I think there's a lot of guys who got to play to their potential. I'll come back to your original question. Stuart Skinner has to be a difference maker. For me, Stuart Skinner has to play the way he's capable of doing. He has to make the saves he should and a couple that he shouldn't. That's the difference. You can't allow bad goals. Bad goals are deflating, especially early on, where, again, the perception from the outside, Struddy, is that this team might be weakened. So don't give anybody an excuse to go, see, they don't have the goaltending. They don't have the depth. They're banged up. They don't look 100%. If Stuart Skinner hits the ground running and makes, has a good game 1, it just quiets everything down. Then everybody can settle in. But I would like to see him play tonight because it's just another game coming back off of injury. Or even if it split the game, just so you go through the routine of getting into game action. Do we know when they're playing? Is it Saturday? Is it Monday? What have you heard anything?
I heard it's Sunday, Tuesday, but I think it's still confirmed because the Lakers they're supposed to play Tuesday. So we'll see kind of how that comes together. So I would expect Skinner to get some action tonight just because he hasn't played a lot. On the other side, you mentioned Kemper, and it seems like he likes playing the Oilers. I'm guessing there's many teams you like to play against when you were in the pipes. But what is the area the Oilers can attack on Kemper, the Stanley Cup winning goaltender?
Okay, so I'm going to just change your wording. There's lots of teams that like to play against me when I played, not vice versa.
Yeah.
I never liked to play against anybody. I was terrified. But there were a lot of teams that like to go the other way, going, that McLennan's in that? Hey, it's point now. But with Darcy Kemper, 6'5", good butterfly, moves pretty well in the net. We saw a little bit of on display, actually, in Edmonton the other day. He made a couple good saves moving from left to right, right to left. You got to find a way to open him up. I think the key, too, is, and you mentioned it, Evander Kane. I think Zach Hyman, Trent Frederick, if he's playing. Big bodies got to get to the blue paint and stay there. Arvidsson, he's tough to play against when he gets in there. I think they've got to crowd the net and keep Kemper, a big goaltender, in his net a little bit deeper. What that forces him to do is there's holes around him, and then you can jam away at rebounds. The other thing is Kemper, I think he's a good goaltender, but I think he's fragile sometimes. He's a guy, if you get in his head or he maybe has an off game, it might take him a game or two to recover off of that. Like I say, I think this might be the best version of the LA Kings that they've played. As far as the goaltending, as far as, it looks like they're pretty healthy in their depth. Yep. So it's not going to be a cakewalk, but I think you've got to simplify your game. And the other thing that may be the separators, your power play has to do damage. And the other thing is the penalty kill. Like the penalty kill was all world in the playoffs last year. During the regular season, it stunk for the most part. Like I'm paraphrasing, but I didn't love their penalty kill during the regular season. I thought they gave up way too much of the slot. I thought they got beat with seam passes. They weren't as hungry. They weren't in the lanes. So your special teams have to win you games and have to win you this series. So, Skinner's a big part of that. You've got to get to Kemper, keep him in the net.
Okay, Niels, I want to shift gears here and talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs. And we talked a little bit about it on Zoro Drive with you guys the other day, but it really got me thinking. So I started looking through their defensive core. Now, they've got players that I like. Obviously, the Brandon Carlo, Morgan Riley, Tanev, Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Like they're guys I like. The challenge I find for them is I don't know who the guy is. Who is the guy when they need a shift? When you look back to every Stanley Cup winner, there's always a guy, that kind of takes over, or a top pairing that takes over. And the only team I can think of that has won with this type of group, kind of decor by committee, unfortunately for Oilers fans, when Carolina won it. Guys like Aaron Ward, Brett Hedican, these types of guys, it was kind of a committee type one. So, do the Leafs, who is or which players are the top pairing for the Leafs? And is there concern around the Leafs that they don't have that Hedman or an Ekblad or a Doughty? You can kind of go through the list of other teams.
You're right, because when I am looking at this Battle of Ontario, I think Toronto's top 6 is superior to Ottawa's top 6. There's just a difference between some of the players. You go to Matthews and Marner, and that's, compared to Stützle and Tkachuk. There's a little bit of a gap, but it's not massive. But I would argue that when you look at, if you did a draft between the two teams, I would take Jake Sanderson as 1 over everybody else. So then your number 2 might be Thomas Chabot. Then you look at Chris Tanev and Jake McCabe and guys like the Brandon Carlo, who are more stay-at-home guys, but they're not point producers. They don't move the puck up. The alpha I would call for the Toronto Maple Leafs in the back end is their tandem. And it's the tandem of McCabe and Tanev. Those are both shutdown guys. Those are both, heavier players that are physical. So I think what they have to be is economical and just move the puck up and get the forwards the puck. But they don't have, I believe I don't have it in front of me, I could check, but I think they're like 27th or 28th from defense from the back end. Offense from the back end. So they don't have a lot of high scoring guys and guys that get points. Morgan Riley gets points, but when he was on the power play, now they've got a five forward unit. So Morgan Riley's not getting a lot of those secondary assists where he passed it to Marner, to Matthews, and Matthews rips it home. So, that's where I think Morgan Riley's production has dropped off, because you're like, okay, what's happened to Morgan Riley? Well, he's not getting a lot of power play points because he's not on the first power play. So I look at, there's not this alpha dog, but they do have, I would argue that Toronto's 1-6 is better than Ottawa's 1-6. I just think Ottawa's 1-4 is better than Toronto's as far as depth. Top end players who could skate and advance the play. So I think that's the biggest challenge when I look at the Toronto Maple Leafs. You're right. They don't have a Hedman. They don't have an Ekblad. They don't have a Doughty. They don't have a Letang. Guys like that who've been number 1s and have been 1s. They don't have a Cale Makar. Obviously, nobody does. Quinn Hughes. But they do have a committee, and I think that's what they're going to try and do it by.
Yeah, and it's a pretty strong committee. I can't wait to see it. That'll be a fascinating series. And then when they take on one of the Florida teams, I can't wait to see how that works out. Noodles, are you got a game tonight, or what are you up to? Are you calling something?
I had a game last night. I'm sure you tuned in. It was Ottawa, Chicago. I don't think Darlene McLennan even watched that one, my mom. So tomorrow is Ottawa, Carolina. Carolina's in Montreal tonight as Montreal tries to make the playoffs. Right. Sounds like there's the Philip Deneau Team Bs being played all around the league. Boy, that's a tough bulletin board.
It's great.
Corey Perry's comment, to Rashog, I loved it. That was good. Raw emotion. That's bulletin board material. That's when you're in a scrum in game 1 and you punch Deneau in the face and go, "Hey, I was part of Team B. Remember me? How do you like this stinky glove?" That's just, you got to be careful with stuff like that,
It's going to be some good battles. This series, obviously the Battle of Ontario, you got the Florida. I mean, there's going to be a lot of angry Colorado, Dallas. I mean, come on, that could be maybe for the Stanley Cup in round 1.
I know,
which is pretty crazy. So, Noodles, travel safe, buddy. We appreciate it. We'll catch up with you soon.
Thanks for having me.
There it is, Jamie McLennan. Looks like he was maybe playing the bass before he got there with that Duke on. Oh, he's still on the line. Sorry, I didn't know.
Bad hair. I see this hair piece. It's like Lego hair.
Take a
shot at me. At least take a shot at me to my face.
I thought he was gone. That's my bad. I had to wait another 20 seconds. You look great. All right, now we'll really see it, buddy. We'll see you. So according to looking at Tony Brar here on Twitter, looks like Stuart Skinner is going to play tonight. He's making his 50th start in the finale, Zubie. So I think that's important to kind of acknowledge as they get on the ice. We're going to have Jack Michaels here in a minute.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like, I guess it's just recency bias of the last few games. It doesn't feel like Stu Skinner has played 50 games this year.
It doesn't. No, it really doesn't. And it's interesting comment that the conversation we just had about the Leafs defense. There's a lot of players I like in there. It'll be interesting to see how they can they all do their job? Because you can do it, but it's not every year that you can be done winning a Stanley Cup without an elite defenseman that just says, I got this. Pietrangelo, I got this. Right? Obviously Hedman, I got this. Makar, Heads, I got this. Like, you
Doughty,
need that guy. And
Doughty,
so we'll see.
Keith and Seabrook. I mean, every all of those teams.
Yeah. I got a text from a friend who also said the Pittsburgh Penguins did without Letang. And that's fair. That's fair. But also I had Sid and Malkin, who are pretty good players too.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's get over now to Up to Speed.
We're going to take our first break and then come back.
Let's take a break. Yeah, sorry, buddy. I got excited. My bad. Let's take a breather.
Now. Jack is waiting, so he.
Okay, let's take a break. When we get back, we'll get Up to Speed with Jack Michaels down at Oilers practice right now.
For over 60 years, Belvedere Golf and Country Club has delivered a high-quality membership experience to Edmonton and area. And now it's even better. Drainage and irrigation improvements in 2024 have taken course conditions to a new level. This commitment to long-term sustainability means exceptional playing conditions all season long. Belvedere's tee sheet availability is unmatched, so join now and experience golf the way it was meant to be played, on your schedule. Visit belvederegcc.com today. If you're considering a vinyl fence, don't be fooled by cheap marketplace imitations. Get top quality vinyl fence from a trusted company with 20 years in the industry. With locations in Calgary and Edmonton, check out dlrvinylproducts.ca.
Join over 250,000 Canadians who have upgraded to Canada's best mattress. Douglas is proudly made in Canada and ships directly to your door for free. Douglas is easy to set up. Enjoy perfectly balanced comfort and an easy-to-clean machine washable cover. Get a free sleep bundle with your Douglas mattress. Try risk-free for 365 nights. Get your Douglas mattress today.
Time to get up to speed now. Brought to you by Timber House Developments, where if you can dream it, they can make it happen. A truly customized building experience. They got you covered. Every house is unique. Every customer is like family. See what you can dream up together. Contact timberhouse.ca. Moments ago, Jack Michaels tweeted out that McDavid's taking line rushes with Brown and Skinner. He also said in his notes that McDavid's looking to join Dion, Mario, Gretzky as the only players with 8 100-point seasons. There he is, Jack Michaels. Thanks for doing it. You've got the eye in the sky again, I see. Good angle, buddy.
I was going to say, I know I took some heat for my view last time, so I tried to get the rink in the background this time. There was no practice the last time, so I'm still working. It's a work in progress, but, at least I've got better hair than Noodles. That's the way I look at it. Fresh cut for the playoffs.
You're looking tight. You're looking tight, ready for game one. So what are you seeing out there for as far as players playing or not playing tonight? We know Nurse is out with suspension, Jack.
Yeah, the biggest thing, Struddy, the headline is right now it appears as though Connor McDavid is going to play. Held out against LA, precautionary, second of a back-to-back, 3-4. The way that game went, probably just as well. And I also think Edmonton's a little spooked by some of the reoccurring injuries they've had down the stretch, guys coming back and then re-aggravating things. Obviously Draisaitl is on that list. Klingberg would be on that list. Frederick would be on that list, and most notably Matthias Ekholm, as it seems like he might be out for at least the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. But it does appear as though McDavid's playing, and that's really the most notable addition. There's not going to be any Zach Hyman, Leon Draisaitl, it doesn't look like, for tonight's game 82 against San Jose. So what that means is ultimately McDavid playing on a line with Connor Brown and Jeff Skinner, at least at the outset, and that returns Ryan Nugent-Hopkins between Arvidsson and Pujols, and then you've got, Corey Perry will play with Adam Henrique and Kasperi Kapanen, and the fourth line, a bit of a mishmash with Max Jones and Quinn Hudson getting the call with Matthias Janmark in the middle. That's not a line that I think you're going to see moving forward. I also think, moving forward in the playoffs, really the two lines that I'm looking at is I do think there is a chance that a McDavid-Brown-Skinner combo is in effect for game one against Los Angeles. I realize that's a bit of a stretch, but I'm telling you, I think it's a strong possibility. So we'll see. And part of that is both Jeff Skinner and Connor Brown have picked it up. I know Brown enjoys playing with Skinner. And as we've seen, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl can produce with seemingly anybody. So I would expect a 100th point at some time. And then it is possible, Struddy, it is possible that they'd shut him down from that point forward. I don't know how much he's going to play beyond hitting the 100 points.
What did you make of Connor McDavid's press conference yesterday when he seemed very strongly suggesting that his team will be more than ready for this playoff run, even though there's been some health issues?
Well, I think it's twofold. Number one, he doesn't want anyone making excuses for whatever team Edmonton throws out against Los Angeles. He wants to take that off the board. And number two, he's sending a message. I think he's sending a message, hey, for those of us who may have just anointed, for instance, Dallas, Colorado, the true Stanley Cup in the first round, I think he's sending a message to you, Struddy, with that particular statement that, you know what, let's not count Edmonton out. So I think it's twofold. I don't think he wants to use excuses. And I also think there's a real degree of truth to it. I mean, if this game meant anything, you'd have Draisaitl and Hyman and Jake Wollman, in the lineup. But it doesn't mean anything. And I think the Oilers are treating it accordingly. The only, shred of team meeting in it is it would be a fourth consecutive 100-point club for a team that, went, what was it, roughly 35 years with one 100-point season. That was in 2017. So from a team standpoint, they could eclipse 100 with at least a point tonight. I think Connor McDavid will get his 100 and then play sparingly, if at all, the rest of the way. On defense, the other, notable addition is Connor Carrick is going to make his Oiler debut tonight. He'll be playing, it looks like, with Ty Emberson. Cam Dineen slides up with Evan Bouchard. We've seen in the two games that Dineen plays, he can move the puck. I mean, he's a 40-point defenseman in the American Hockey League. And, that leaves, obviously, Brett Kulak playing with Josh Brown. So a bit of a makeshift lineup all around tonight with, obviously, the century mark, both from a player and a team perspective, really the only meaningful kernels tonight. Everyone else is going to be ready to go against Los Angeles. And I would include Evander Kane on that list, and I think there's a decent possibility Trent Frederick is going to give it a try as well.
Jack, yesterday Connor McDavid said that he felt much better after this break for this injury. What did you see in his game pre and post injury from Nick number 97?
Well, I think this year, Struddy, he has probably had the hardest earned 99-point season I can remember. I mean, he hasn't had the explosions. He hasn't had the 4- and 5-point games. Everything has come hard. And really for this team in general, only Leon has just consistently produced and scored at a regular perspective. Everyone else, it's been pulling teeth. I mean, Zach Hyman has had to work hard for his 27 goals. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins has been, he's got, 1 point in his last 8 games. He's been sitting on 49 forever. He had the hat trick against Seattle, but outside of that, no one's even had a big game, let alone a big stretch. And having said all that, Connor McDavid's got 99 points. Yeah. So he still had a great year. I would say this. I think more than anything, physically, I think his mental game sometimes translates to his physical game. When he's feeling refreshed, he's got that extra half burst. Not that he's jaking it the rest of the way, but if he is feeling down, if he is feeling like it's not coming easy, I don't find he's got that extra degree of separation. I think he feels a little bit free right now. The end of the regular season is here. And I think for this veteran core, a lot of it is just an exercise. And you hate to say that because, the regular season, you still got to get in. But I think for so many of these guys now, the only thing missing is a Stanley Cup. So what they achieve in an 82-game regular season means very little. And I include home ice advantage in that. I know they would have preferred to have home ice in Game 7 against Florida, but if you look at it overall, they're 15-11 at home over the last 3 years in the postseason and 14-13 on the road. In Los Angeles, in that case, and this will be the fourth straight year they've played, they're actually 6-2 in LA, 6-4 on home ice. So the difference, with apologies to an Edmonton crowd that does make it an atmosphere unlike any other, the difference in terms of wins and losses has been proven to be fairly negligible.
Jack, one last one for you. Assuming everyone is healthy up front, what would you do with the lines for Game 1? It starts hopefully maybe Sunday or Monday.
Well, that is a very difficult question to answer because I honestly don't know definitively who's going to be available. Okay. But I think there's value in Jeff Skinner motivated to play his first ever playoff games. I think he's going to be flying. I think he will be in Sunday's lineup against the LA Kings, or Monday's lineup, whenever that game actually takes place, which we probably won't know until at least the end of today. So I think you'll see that line to start the playoffs, as unlikely as it may have seemed even 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Then I think if Evander Kane is available, you've got a decision to make. Do you go with the three-headed monster, or do you keep, or do you, mess around with potentially a reuniting, if you will, of Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Leon Draisaitl? I think it's going to start out with Podkolzin, Draisaitl, Arvidsson, Kane, Nugent-Hopkins, Frederick. If you were pinning me down and I knew all those players were available, that would be my best guess. The fourth line then comes down to you need a penalty killer. I think Matthias Janmark would probably center the fourth line. I think Corey Perry would be on his right side. And you're going to have to help me for who the 12th guy is, because to be honest with you, I might have lost track.
No, and I hear it, and it gets really complicated. I think the top 9 is you have to settle that top 9. That I think the fourth falls down. I love that top 9, and man, if Frederick can be healthy, even Game 2 or 3, I think it's massive. Jack, I really appreciate you doing this today.
Hyman. We got to get Hyman in there.
Oh, geez.
That's the biggest thing. So Here's the thing about Hyman, is that's what may preclude Brown from starting there. It is possible you'd go Skinner, McDavid, Hyman, and then move Brown to the fourth line with Perry and Janmark. That would be the big thing in terms of, if you wanted to shake up the team a little bit, you start with Brown, with McDavid and Skinner, and just see how that goes, even though it's been a relatively small sample size. But I think that there's a good possibility Hyman ends up either on Draisaitl's right or on McDavid's right, because obviously he's going to be somewhere in that top 9.
Can't wait to find out what it looks like. It's going to be a lot of fun. Jack, thanks for your insight, and we'll hear you tonight, buddy, with the call.
Absolutely. Struddy, always a pleasure. And again, I can't wait to see what camera angle I'm going to have for next Wednesday, when we're going to be live from Los Angeles, probably on the eve of Game 2. Yeah. I'm going to have to come up with something extra special.
I love it, buddy. You're the best. Talk to you later. Suit looks good. Jack Michaels, the voice of your Edmonton Oilers. And you can check him out on Twitter. He's a great follow on Twitter, at Edmonton Jack. So check that out there. Zubie, lots of information there, and it sounds like Skinner's going, Connor's going. I agree. He'll be done. I think if it was me, he gets his 100 points. I'm like, you can go change, big guy. Go stretch it out, because you are done. Okay, let's get a look at the standings now. Brought to you by our good friend Painting by Michaela. If your home interior is feeling dull or outdated, Painted by Michaela knows fresh coats are in season all year round. From winter to summer, they're dependable. Quality service delivers a clean, flawless finish every time, done by professionals you can trust. Proudly serving the Edmonton area, they are ready to transform your space. Call 780-935-8608 today. Zubie, what are we looking at for standings, my man?
All right. Well, all but one playoff spot. Now, not all the seeding completely determined yet, but all but one position determined. And so this is the West wild card. We will forego the Pacific Division. We all know what's going on there. So you can see that the Flames, despite I think it was a shootout win last night, still were bounced. Man, it's too bad. What a run! I mean, they gotta have their heads high. They got a really awesome standing ovation from the home fans. I saw some footage of what's his name there, Dustin Wolf, and some of the other guys standing outside and like signing autographs till the wee hours of the night for the home crowd. So pretty cool. I don't think too many Oilers fans have lots of warm fuzzies for the Calgary Flames, but hard not to kind of get behind them a little bit this year as they made that run, but it's done. So the 8 teams in the West are settled, and in the East, still one to go. And this is getting pretty crazy now that the Habs had, when we talked about this last week, they had a 7-8 point cushion in that final wild card spot. And now it's down to 2, and it's not settled. They only need 1 point in their game tonight. But if they lose in regulation and Columbus gets 2 points on Thursday, tomorrow night, that can still flip-flop. So quickly, Struddy, which team would be a better story to get in?
Oh, man. I think Columbus would be the better story, but I want Montreal to get in. I think that's a really good young team, although Columbus has some good young players as well.
Okay, and then finally, speaking of standing, Struddy, we got to talk about the Masters.
Oh, no.
And in fairness, when we did our Masters picks, I believe before you even got a pick, I said, well, I'll take Rory. And I might have taken Corey Connors as well. So we picked, for the Masters, we picked each a player in the top 10 for the betting odds, a Canadian, and a player outside of the top 10. You had Scotty Scheffler, Victor Hovland, and Nick Taylor. They came in a combined total score -7. And I had pretty good. That's all right. And I had Rory. I was pumped. I was excited about the story. So I got to pick Rory again. Full disclosure, there was no coin flip, no rock, paper, scissors. I just took him. I'll take Rory. So that kind of turned the tide here right from the beginning. So Rory -11. I had Corey Connors -5 and Jordan Spieth -3 for my total -19. So I bested you by 12 strokes there, and I'll enjoy that because, of course, if we ever actually golf together, it would be at least that bad the other way, probably worse.
Yeah. Well, congratulations, sir. I was not very good. That's twice now, March Madness and the Masters. You've destroyed me. I got to find something else, maybe like a cricket match in the middle of nowhere, and we'll see if we can get a win. I can get a win. Just get on the board.
We'll find something else. There's always lots. We'll find another one to get back into it.
No, that's for sure. Okay, let's do this. Let's pause here. When we come back, we'll play the field, and then time to get off the fence. And I am not thrilled with what happened with the suspension for Nurse because of another situation. More on that next here on the show.
McDonald's new cheesy jalapeno and bacon quarter pounder with 100% Canadian beef is here. So if you crave beefy burgers with a pretty peppery punch and pickled jalapeno peppers piled in a perfect bunch, and if you please if a cheesy taste came in threes with cheesy jalapeno pepper sauce poured with ease, and if smoky strips of bacon make burgers better, you'll love our cheesy jalapeno and bacon quarter pounder. Get this beefy, bold, bacony, melty mouthful only at McDonald's for a limited time.
Dennis here from Weiss Johnson. Are you looking to get into the trades or have a kid graduating high school wondering what to do? Weiss Johnson is looking for career-minded people to work for us. Opportunities truly are endless. Become a service technician, gas fitter, refrigeration technician, install residential or commercial heating and plumbing systems, fireplace installations or service, duct cleaning. We are the company where you can learn all aspects of the trade and pick which career path to take. We have an awesome benefits package and offer school reimbursement too. Visit wjcareers.com today.
Specializing in heavy-duty commercial truck powertrain repair, performance, tuning, and part sales, Adrenaline Diesel's professional team is ready to assist you with all of your needs, from the simplest oil changes to engine conversions, overhauls, and engine modifications. Featuring an all-new online parts store and machine shop to manufacture, replicate, or repair parts, visit adrenalinediesel.ca.
Welcome back. It is now time to play the field. Brought to you by our good buddies over at Play Alberta. As the playoff race heats up, make every game count with odds boosts, player props, and same game parlays. There's no better way to raise the stakes while teams fight for those crucial points. Get a $50 free bet this month by depositing with code GYB04. Visit playalberta.ca. Huge game tonight. Huge. Eastern Conference. The Habs are trying to make the playoffs. So, as Zubie highlighted in the standings, they have to get at least 1 point. So, for the Columbus, the worst case scenario is the Habs going to overtime, even losing in overtime. It's just a single point they need. So, the Columbus needs them to have a regulation loss, and that gives them a chance to make the playoffs. The problem for Columbus is that the Habs are playing the Canes, and this game means nothing to the Canes. So it sounds like they're going to have a very, very different looking lineup. Some of the players that did not skate today included Jacob Slavin, arguably the most underrated player in the league, Sebastian Aho, and Jordan Stahl and Seth Jarvis. Now, they didn't skate this morning. Doesn't mean they won't play tonight. That doesn't always work that way. But Zubie, reading between the lines, like many teams are doing, we saw Vegas do it, they are going to be sitting top players to keep them fresh or get them fresh, and more importantly, maybe keep them healthy. So it's going to make it hard on Columbus.
It's a tough situation for Columbus. I feel for them. I feel bad for those players having to sit there and watch that game tonight. Is there any sense of kind of pride in some of those Carolina players that play that maybe aren't playing? Is like we're not playing for something in the standings, but we can have an effect on what else is going on. Is there a little bit of pride there, or are they just trying to stay healthy?
You know what? I understand. You want to try to make someone else have a bad day. I think it more works the other way. If you're not in the playoffs, you want to drag someone down with you. You know, like misery loves company.
Right. Okay.
So I think that when you're in the playoffs, you're like, unless you're sitting on 29 goals, or let's say, like McDavid sitting at 99 points to get that number. But if you're at like 13 goals and 8 assists, like, do you really care if you play one more game? Like, you're not going to get to 30 points all of a sudden, right? So now it's not always fair to the fans. That's for sure. But I think also those fans understand what the teams are trying to do. This isn't like they're sitting out 10 games. They're sitting out one.
Right.
It doesn't mean anything, but it does kind of, unfortunately, I think it does affect what could happen to Columbus, right? The Habs just have to get a single point and they could move on. So I think the Habs win this in regulation. That Demidov is a young player they just got. He's brought energy to that group. The Bell Center will be a rockin'.
Yeah.
So I think they get it done tonight, Zoobs.
Not nervous, but they had it in the bag, it seemed too. So
Sure.
They could be clutching their sticks a little bit, but I kind of have a feeling they're going to get the point they need.
Yeah, the pills could get a little tight for sure. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that, and we'll update you tonight on the pod, because our game is until 8:30, Oilers San Jose, and then that means we start the pod about 4 a.m.
That's
Edmonton
right.
time. A really cool moment last night. Marc-Andre Fleury, that's his last regular season game. Now, it meant something for the Wild because of Calgary and the Blues and all that. So they started Gustafsson instead. All they needed was a single point as well. So they got into overtime. Gustafsson apparently pulled himself. So the Flower could go out there and play. Now, it didn't matter if they won or lost again. They ended up winning. And it was actually amazing. They scored a goal with just seconds left to tie it up, Joel Anderson-Ek. But, you're the goalie guy, Zubie. I love how the fans have treated Fleury and liked how he's handled it, because he has been really a good ambassador for our sport.
He deserves it. I didn't know that bit. I knew that it had happened, but I didn't know that it was, obviously Gustafsson would have had to agree to it, but I didn't know or hear that it was like his decision or his idea. Yeah, that's really cool. The guy deserves it. He's, to me, I think the best goalie of this generation. I think it's hard to even really argue with that.
I like it.
Since Brodeur and Waugh of that generation, I think he's a great guy, and he's a character, and the league needs characters. That's kind of the saddest thing about him moving on, the smile and the pranks and just like the goodwill around this guy. It was an awesome thing for them to do. And I'm going to miss the guy. I wish he had been. There was rumors the 1 year, maybe he was going to get moved to Edmonton. I would have been pretty excited about that. He's been a guy I've liked every stop of his career. An excellent goalie.
Yeah. Big fan. Big fan of his, and he's going to be a Hall of Famer. I scored on him twice, so whatever.
Did you?
He scored 2 goals. Yeah, whatever. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people have, right?
That's awesome.
But yeah, 2 big ones, one from the point, one on a breakaway, but whatever. I'm sure those are low points in his career. Whatever, right? Everyone has off days. Now, big weekend coming up, Zubie. I don't think you're going to sleep. Are you going to be available for the podcast? What's going on this weekend you're so jacked up about?
Do you know what? My brother and I used to joke. We'd say, my brother Michael, I'd say, Mike, do you want to open your presents on WrestleMania Eve or WrestleMania Day? And of course, it used to only be one day. WrestleMania started 41 years ago. The first WrestleMania was a 2-hour event in front of 18,000 people. Now it's a 2-day, 8-hour extravaganza being held this year at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. And it'll be well over 100,000 fans between the 2 days combined as well. So just a massive, massive event. Cody Rhodes and John Cena in the main event for the the bad guy, John Cena, heel turn John Cena against the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. I will make a prediction. I guess Cena's the betting favorite. I still don't understand how you can bet on wrestling. It's like betting on a soap opera. Cena's the small favorite. I think Cody's going to win because I think they have a plan for Cena to win his world record 17th world championship somewhere further down this road as part of his redemption arc. I don't know. But let me ask you, Struddy, do you have I know you're not up to date on the current era of wrestling. Do you have a WrestleMania moment that you remember and love?
Yeah, my moment it was one of the first ones when Hulk Hogan body slammed Andre the Giant. Now, the claim was it was the first time Andre the Giant had ever been body slammed.
Right.
That's been since debunked. That's not accurate. But let's just for a moment believe that is the first time.
Yeah.
And I love that moment. And even they weren't even sure if Hulk was going to win that one, if Andre had let it happen.
Yeah.
Because Andre, I don't think you can beat Andre. So I think that's like one of those moments in any sports, but this one, wrestling, that is right up there amongst the greatest of all time.
It is a moment. And back in the day of flash photography, 90,000 people and all the flash bulbs going off as Hulk turns him over. Yeah, I loved all of that stuff in there. And I also, my favorite wrestler of all time was Owen Hart. And in WrestleMania 10, the opening match to WrestleMania 10 was Owen Hart versus Bret Hart. And Owen went over the younger brother, and I feel I had empathy for Owen in that being a younger brother. The younger brother going over the older brother, to me that was awesome, and it set up a great feud between them for the world title going along. And also, I have to shout out WrestleMania 19 again. This is the episode about my bro. WrestleMania 19 in Seattle. My brother and I went. He's been to a few. But we went to that one, and that was pretty spectacular. We watched Brock Lesnar almost kill himself doing a shooting star press off the top rope that he didn't complete and landed right on his head and neck. And he was able to finish the match. Look that up if you haven't seen it.
Okay. I'll have to look at a monster. That guy's a monster.
Oh, he's
absolute monster. I'm so scared of him. He would just kill me. He would eat me and then just move on.
He would eat you. He would eat all of us and still have room for dessert.
So crazy. And what's weird is my son actually played against his son in hockey. And his son's a pretty big guy too. Yeah. Plays out in Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
Okay. That was playing the field. Now it's time to get off the fence. I've been waiting for this one for a while, guys.
Yeah.
Brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products. As Alberta's #1 vinyl product supplier, DLR offers top quality materials to build a fence or deck that won't rot, fade, or fall apart. If you need a skilled contractor to take care of your job, or prefer a DIY approach, DLR can help set you up with all you need. Canadian owned and operated with locations in Calgary and Edmonton. Visit them today at dlrvinylproducts.ca. Darnell Nurse got suspended 1 game for an infraction with Quinton Byfield. If you didn't see the game, he kind of drives him to the ground. And as he's on the ground, he recoils his stick a bit and then pushes down on Byfield. Wasn't a hard one. Even on the NHL supplementary discipline report video, he doesn't drive down. They even say it's not, even though it's on a hard infraction, it still is a cross check. I agree. He missed half the game. He was kicked out with a 5. Should have got fined. I don't believe he got a suspension. Now, ultimately, it doesn't matter because he wasn't going to probably play tonight anyways. A couple days ago, Trennan runs Quinn Hughes of the Vancouver Canucks. Luke Trennan of the Wild runs Quinn Hughes of the Canucks. Derek Forbort comes into his rescue at center ice, and they fight. Now, it wasn't the greatest fight. The guys are kind of falling, and Trennan falls down, and I guess, Forbort gets him with a bit of a cheap one, but they both pop up. Then they both go down again. While on the ground, defenseless, Forbort is sucker punched by Luke Trennan right in the face. And this guy, just think, he's sitting on the ground, laying on the ground. You reach up and hammer him with your fist right into his face. Broken, I think it's his left orbital bone. Broken. You can tell right away. His reaction, he knows something's wrong. And he's help off the field or off the ice. And that's it. So Darnell got 1 game for what he did to Quinton Byfield. Not even close to as aggressive. This guy does this and gets nothing. Nothing. Not even a fine, not even a dirty look from the players to safety. I cannot understand how that can happen, how that can get away. Now, I'm not looking to bring Luke Trennan down, but I'm trying to understand 2 situations where players are vulnerable on the ice. One results in significant injury. This guy's going to be injured for a while. The other one, I don't know, Quinton didn't play the rest of the game. I'm not sure where he's at, but I doubt he broke his orbital bone. So, Zubie, explain to me how the league can understand and have this make sense. I fought a lot of times. I never punched someone on the ground. You do that, there should be something coming. And the people in that office, they did fight. They should know better.
In a vacuum, do you think the Nurse thing is a suspension, or the call on the major and the ejection was enough?
That was enough. Up to that point, I believe that he missed half a game. So to answer your question, no suspension was needed. He got what he got in game.
Yeah, so I guess I'll disagree with you there, but I also think I think he deserved a game. I think they got that one exactly right. I feel like he deserved a game more because of the intent and the sort of the optics of it, and the timing of having only 1 regular season game left makes it an easy thing to do, and LA fans can be happy. Oh, Nurse got suspended, without really affecting him that much. So I felt like that was right. But I mean, I completely agree with you on the Trennan thing. And are they going to have to start talking a little bit more about an emphasis on how fights end? Because there's also the Chatfield thing that he did the judo throw on that guy. Right. And what was the other one? There was the other incident of the guy's head being driven down. We kept trying to decide this year if it was a bulldog or another. What was the other rest? The pedigree. Do you think maybe that becomes a point of emphasis, or do you think the league's position is, hey, if you agree to a fight, everything's fair game until the officials separate you? Good question. I think what you can do is that it can be a reminder. If there's a fight, there's a point where the fight's over, right? So if Chatfield, to me, it looked like he didn't want to fight anymore, so he just threw him over his leg. Just hold on to the guy. Say, I'm done. I've been in fights before where I just seatbelted and hung on. I'm like, we're not fighting anymore. We're done. With this situation with Trennan, you might be mad at him. Yeah, maybe you feel he got you with a bit of a cheap one. You don't punch a guy when he's down. He's defenseless down. You just punch down on him and crack him in the face. But if you don't want the fight to happen, you want the fight to end, just indicate that. The linesman will get it, and the other guy will stop. There's a certain, there's a respect factor amongst guys that fight. And so ones that don't fight, that usually are the problem, because they don't really understand. They just keep going and they'll do a bunch of stupid things. So I think a reminder would be healthy at the start of next season, because fighting will always have some spot in the game, and there's not a ton of fighting anymore. But we want to make sure that you want to minimize the type of damage that can happen in these situations. And I just can't believe that Nurse got 1 game for that and Trennan got 0. As a player, I'd be losing. I'm not even on either team. I'd be losing it. Yeah. What the hell is going on with these guys and these choices? So it's always a surprise to be what they do with the Department of Player Safety. And this one was even a bigger surprise. Are they... Struds, I mean, I don't know if you have any sense for this, but do you think the league is happy with the Department of Player Safety? Do you think they see it as being a problem? I felt like under Brendan Shanahan that it still wasn't perfect, but I felt like the explanations were a lot clearer. And
yeah. I mean, I think that the league, the managers must be happy because it continues to be run the way it is. And listen. they get 99% of it right. And I think that's where we're looking on the fringes here. And sometimes that's unfair. But I do think that they think they're doing a good job, because otherwise they would have adjusted it. But it doesn't mean there's not room for improvement on these little details here. Like I would highlight this hit, although this is pretty rare, where a guy gets punched on the ground. The other ones are hitting from behind. Just automatic hit. You hit from behind, gone. Just automatically gone in suspension. Now, it's different when the guys turn to last second, and this is a whole different conversation.
Right.
But I think the league does a really good job. But to me, this was an easy one, low-hanging fruit. Come down on Trennan, 1 or 2 games, whatever. It just lets everyone know that that cannot happen. A reminder, and that's the reminder that gets through the league.
Yeah, couple of comments here really quickly.
Sure.
Starting over at 61 said, "Wheel of safety goes round and round. Where it lands is as good a guess yours as mine." Dallas Scarlett saying he agrees with you. It doesn't make sense, Struds. I think Peros needs a review of his suspensions or lack thereof at times. I also agree Nurse did not deserve anything extra. It was dumb but not malicious. And Travis Farquharson sort of echoing that. There wasn't intent, but the optics were absolutely brutal 100%. For the Nurse incident. And certainly I'd agree with that as well.
And I'll just challenge that. Is it? Yeah, it didn't look bad. It didn't look good for sure. And Nurse got 5 minutes. Trennan's looked horrendous, and there was a terrible outcome, and he got nothing. And I think that's where I can line it up. And you want a reminder? That's how you remind people, by suspending for that situation. Okay, well, it's that time of the day where we get into Ask Struds, brought to you by our good friends over at McDonald's. I had a chocolate milkshake the other day. They're so thick. They're so good. I love where it really, it just, the way it goes down, it's smooth. Big fan, and it was a delicious treat. Helping you get your morning started right. Right now, you can pick up any size of McDonald's Premium Roast Coffee at a new low price, starting at just $1 plus tax for a small. And that's every single day. Stop in at your local McDonald's and see for yourself. Zubie, what are the people asking for today?
Well, here's a pretty good you kind of talked about this, I think, even sort of last year. There was discussion about goaltending on the stream again. Travis Farquharson says, Skinner is now in his 3rd year. It's Stu Skinner. It's not hard to picture him continuing to develop and get even better than he has been. He added sort of, there was talk about offseason, Oilers need to target a big-time netminder. I don't know who would necessarily be available, but he adds, it just seems easier to work to develop the good goalie you have and wants to be there than it is to bring in an old, established goaltender that'll cost a ton. Where do you land on that, Struddy?
Well, first off, and let me compliment Travis on having the most vowels in his name of any listener we have, for sure. Can I buy a vowel, Pat? Sure. I'm hesitant to move on from Stuart Skinner for those reasons. Let me remind you of a guy named Devin Dubnyk, who turned out to be he was pretty decent for the Oilers, and he left, was run out of town, and he became an amazing goalie, an all-star level goalie. So I'm very hesitant to move on from him. And let's keep in mind, he's a $2.2 million goalie, guys, or whatever, 2.3, whatever the number is.
And for one more year, right?
Yeah. 1 more year, 2.2. That's pretty good. You don't have to sign him anything extra. Now, the challenge is if you decide you want to bring someone in to work beside Skinner, maybe another guy like him, like a 1A, 1B situation, now you've got Kelvin Pickard there, who's not going to go through waivers. So I would suspect you'd have to trade him. He's a wildly popular teammate in this dressing room. So then if you trade him, people probably won't be happy. So then we're back to square one. You trade Stu Skinner, who has the potential of being a really good goalie, to bring in someone else you're not sure of, just so you can keep your backup for $1 million. So this will be fascinating this offseason. And I think that the next 2 months will go a long way in determining what happens in the goaltending ranks for the Oilers this summer.
One more kind of additional comment on that. Paulie added this. He had this for Noodles. I was going to bring it in when he was there, but maybe you can speak to this. We've talked about this a little bit before, but he says, how open is the book league-wide on the Oilers netminders? I guess it's not just them. How well documented are goalies' strengths and weaknesses in the other team's locker room, and how is it addressed?
Yeah, so I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't look at it that often, but I did know what was there for information. This is a number of years ago. So in a playoff series, they would break down, like they'd show a net in the netminder and show where, and we see these in broadcast now, but show where everyone, all the goals, we had 8 goals here, 9 goals here, 12, whatever, right? All through there. It would show his weaknesses and his strengths. It would show distance to shoot from, and they'd have video to show here is whatever Corey Price and how you can beat him. So there was tons of info. So it's not just Oilers goaltenders; it's goaltenders across the league. And Noodles talked earlier about Kemper. He's a big goalie, likes to come out, take away the angle. So what you need to do is you need to get people at the top of the blue paint so he can't come out. And I think that'd be really good advice to the Oilers shooters and forwards.
Mine would be if they changed the size of the dot to represent, it would be like you wouldn't even be able to see my pads for the 5-hole dot. It would be like very big. Actually, I've tightened that up in recent years. Okay, Nick Biskypeck says, I actually like that Edmonton is opening on the road. The pressure at home would be massive. Is there anything to that? I think I even comparing to last year, obviously there were expectations last year, but they weren't coming off going to the final. So do you think there's anything to that for the Oilers going down to LA and saying, we got to win one of these and we're in a really good spot?
I like that. I really like that. So I think it's a chance to have a deep breath with your buddies and your team and say, okay, people aren't believing in us right now. Let's go out and show what we can do and get ourselves going and just split the series, split the first 2 games. Then you come back to Edmonton. And again, unless something new happens, every game that goes by in this series, Kane should get better. Frederic should get healthier, and all that. And guys will start feeling it again. So I think that's a really good point. I like that one. And I think it's accurate.
Forgive me if this might've been mentioned, but you can kind of adjust this or just reiterate. Zach said, Struds, do you think the extras, Kane, Leon, Hyman, can be the second line come game 1 if they keep that McDavid line together with Brown and Skinner? Is there any chance they just go, boom, you guys are line 2, slot Nuge in with Arvidsson and Podkolzin, and everybody else just pushes down?
Yeah, I think there's a chance. Kane and Hyman, I don't necessarily love the two of them together. So I would probably avoid those two guys not playing together. So now, could you tell me it's Hyman, Podkolzin, and Draisaitl? Yeah. And then Kane maybe goes down one line. Then he's beside, who would it be? It would probably be Arvidsson and Nuge, correct? And then after that, it would be Henrique as your 4th line center. And it feels like they've been trying to, but because of health, they haven't been able to, try to have the 4 centers, have your top 4 centers, play center. And that includes Henrique and Nuge. So I personally wouldn't put Kane with Hyman, but doesn't mean it won't happen. Then you got to mix in Frederic as well. So if he comes back, is Frederic beside Hyman and Draisaitl? I'd like to see it. But then what happens to Podkolzin? He could end up on the 4th line if Kane's on the 3rd line.
I feel like Corey Perry is kind of the wild card. I feel like with him kind of getting the eye of the tiger here a little bit, I feel like he might be the guy that they move all over the place to fill in to give a a little bit of punch to a line when it needs
100%. Wild card. He's the wild card. But so is Vander Kane. Actually, so is Frederic. So you really have 2
He's
guys.
The biggest wild card.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you have 3 guys. You have 3, aces in your hand, but they're all wild cards. You don't know what the hell you're going to do with these guys or how they're going to do. So, you could see Podkolzin start with Nuge and Arvidsson, then have Kane on the 4th line, Kane, Henrique, and Perry. In theory, that's a pretty damn good bottom 6, man.
Yeah. A quick comment here from Smitty the Welder, and then I'll get to the final question that I'm going to ask you. Smitty the Welder pointed out, and I was going to say something to this effect. Going back to Devin Dubnyk. Dubnyk didn't become a good goalie right away after he left Edmonton. It took a couple teams later before he figured it out. He was almost out of the game, and then I actually read a really interesting article about him on The Athletic that he went back, tore it down to the studs, his whole everything he does, and built it back up with this thing he talked about called head tracking. And it was a really interesting read for me as a goalie. But that is worth noting that he didn't just go somewhere else and become a Vezina nominee. He built himself back up. So okay, for
sure.
Last question here today from Dallas Scarlet. What's considered a win for the Oilers tonight, Struddy? Health, milestones, a good goaltending performance, or an actual win? what do you think would be the biggest thing for this team tonight?
Well, I think the milestone is the tap in. I think Connor gets his point. The Sharks want to skate and play. Like, they're not going to run them over. I can't see them playing really tight D. It's either is it their last game? I think it is their last game. So they're not going to be blocking shots. So Connor gets his point. Honestly, for me, it's just getting through it healthy, because really no one's coming back. They're looking to see how he plays or moves. Just get it through healthy. And quite honestly, he didn't put it on there. Stu Skinner having a good game. I think that's really important for him. Remember last year in Colorado, it didn't go well. I think tonight him having, like, I'd love for him to see like 25 shots tonight, and, you know, maybe they win 4-1 or something, right? He makes some good saves and feels good about himself going to game one. That would be the ultimate win for me.
Right. Yeah. You don't want anything that brings, if Stu's in pen as the game one starter, you don't want anything to happen tonight that makes people start questioning that even further.
No, 100%, buddy. What's your last one here?
Oh, shoot. You know what? That was the last one, but I forgot. I have one other thing to add, which was texted to me in a text chain. So this was sent from Gene Principe and then to Ryan Rashog. And this is going to be a little bit rough. I'm going to drop it right over top here. But that's Jack. Oops. That's the reverse view of Jack doing his thing with us, getting the phone up nice and high, knowing his angles. Jack knows his angles. He's a smart guy.
Jack's the best. Thank you for coming on, Jack, and great information. I love having him down at the rink like that, and we will have him throughout the playoffs.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So that's fantastic. All right, well, that was Ask Us Anything, or Ask Struddy Anything, brought to you by McDonald's, our good buddies over there. That's it, Zubie. Great show. I want to thank all of our guests, which included Noodles, obviously Jack Michaels, and more importantly, even those guys are all of our listeners and viewers. Thank you for taking your time out of your busy lunch, for tuning in and joining us. We had a great stream today. Tell a friend, give us a thumbs up if you can on the YouTube stream. Zubie, any thoughts, buddy?
Nothing. We appreciate the stream. It was excellent. We had a really sustained good high number through the entire show. So we appreciate, we're gaining some traction. Hopefully everybody tells a friend. You got to watch Struddy's World Wednesdays at noon. You'll be as up to date as you can possibly be on the Oilers and more.
Can't wait for it. So give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Tell a friend. Zubie, great work today. And that is it for us. Tune in again tonight. Our post-game show will be pretty late, but we'll be here and we'll be ready to rumble. Have a great day, everybody. Look forward to the game tonight.
Happy WrestleMania, everybody.